Hello everyone, Tom Grill here for MCP Actions. Today I'm going to be doing a short demo on how to use some of the overlays that are in my new Sunshine overlay package that is used to convert a photograph into something that looks like it was taken on a sunny day or at a sunset or sunrise, that usually kind of recreating a backlit lighting. These are overlays that I have built up over the years to help me speed up my process of retouching in Photoshop, and putting them together like this is just a way for me to share them with other photographers. So we're going to begin with this first portrait of a model taken on a regular day. Actually looks kind of nice in terms of lighting and so forth, except that it's not what I really want right now. What I want to do is take this photograph and make it look like it was photographed in the evening as the sun was going down, and you were shooting at backlighting. So in order to do that, the first thing I'm going to add is the sun effect. And we're going to put that up here near where her hat is, because the sun would probably have been up there in the sky coming down on her and making her backlit. In order to get that sun effect, that sunburst effect, we're going to go under File, and we're going to go to the menu, to the file folder where I keep those overlays. So we're going to go to Place Embedded, and placing a photograph into Photoshop means that you're going to put it on top of another photograph. So we're going to take this one over here, which is called Burst 06A. It's one of my favorites when I need to add a large sunlit area or burst in a scene, because it doesn't have all of the star shapes that many of the other bursts have. It's more of a round shape, and it's more of what you would get in a situation like this. So we're going to open that up simply by clicking the Place button. And as you see, it comes right in on top of the other photograph. Now we can change the size of this any way we want. By holding down the Shift key, we can actually change it proportionally. For right now, it doesn't matter. We're just going to make it kind of generally the shape we want and locate it in the general area that we expect to put it. Double click it, and then we go over. If you look at the file name on all of these overlays, you'll see the very end of it tells you what to do with this particular overlay. It says hard light. So what we do is we go up to the blending mode for the layer, click on normal, and go down to hard light and click that, and you'll notice that then all the gray disappears, leaving the burst behind for us to manipulate. So now we're going to enlarge it. It doesn't look exactly right. We weren't able to place it the way it was before. So we'll do a Control or Command T on a Mac, and we'll just resize it the way we want it to appear. I want some of the light to come over here to the right of her hat. I want some of it to spill maybe down on her face, like that. Maybe tilting it like that will help even more to get some down there. It goes right down into the eyes. Now, this area where the X is, and the cross in the center, shows where the center of that burst is. And what I try to do is generally get that center, on a very large one like this, get it more towards the edge of the photograph. So it doesn't look like the sun is actually coming from the grass. It looks more like it would be coming from the sky above the grass. All right? Now that we have that placed, all we have to do is double click it. All right, now this is looking okay, I mean, in terms of where we want the sun effect to be, but it doesn't harmonize with the whole photograph yet. So we're going to need to add a couple of other layers to help do that. You'll notice that the green of the grass and the actual lighting of the scene still stays the way it was. And also this burst, when it came in, kind of sort of blasted out the area in her hat. And we're going to very easily correct that, but we're going to do it later when the other layers are laid on top of this one. We'll go back to File, down to Place Embedded, and now what we're going to do is get a color cast. Color casts are, and I'm going to use Color Cast 01 here, color casts are made to harmonize or enhance the color of the burst. And I place that on top, just like that. You'll notice that in the color cast, they're constructed so that the center area passes through a little bit of the image from below. In this case, we're passing through part of the girl, but because the girl's off to the right, you're not seeing all of her, so we're just going to drag that over like that, and maybe up a little bit, see a little more of her hat, and you'll notice that center point now is coming over here where the center of attention should be in this photograph. Double click it, and because it says soft light at the end of the file, we go up here to the blending mode for the layer, click on the normal one and go down to soft light, click it, and there you are. Let's take a look at that. Is what it is without, that is it with. And you'll notice now how it's beginning to harmonize the colors that are in the burst. I think that it's still a little too hard light up here on the right and in the grass and on the left. So what we're going to do is add a third overlay. Now, you know, we've been doing that by going up to File and doing a like this and coming down to Place. But you can also simply drag and drop a file on top of this file. So we go here under our Find Our File folder, and we're going to go to the one we want, which in this case is going to be these color rays here, color rays 03. And we just simply drag it over, drop it on top, and there it is. I think that what we want to also do is probably get some of the bright area off to the left and these streaks off to the right. So in order to do that, we'll go to the Edit menu, down to where it says Transform, and flip horizontal. I'm going to do Control T or Command T on a Mac, pull this out a bit, and move it up a little bit like that, just where I think I might want it. Remember, can always change this very easily later on. No worry about this not being all on the photograph. All that black's going to disappear as soon as we change the mode of this, the layer mode. Right now, it's indicating it wants to be changed to screen. So we go up to the blending mode for the area, for the layer, and change it to screen. All right, that's without, and that's with, and you'll notice now it's already getting some of this up in the upper right here, this grass. But if I just Control or Command T that, I can drag it out some more and get a couple more of those rays into that area. All right, simply double click that, and we're already looking pretty good. But now this area above her hat is really truly blasted out. In order to deal with that, it's very, very simple. We just need to put a layer mask on the things that are doing the blasting, one of which is the rays themselves. So we just put a click down below here and add a mask. We make sure that our brush that we're going to use, a very soft brush, is set to paint with black, and it's very, very soft. I have it set all the way down to 0% hardness, which is to say 100% softness. And our opacity for something like this will be very, very low, generally in the low 20s or even below that. I've got it there at 19. Okay. We will hit the bracket, the right bracket key, to get our, in my case, the circular cursor painting brush in the size we want, and just paint out some of that area like so. All right, I'm also going to paint some of it out of her eyes and hair. And then what I'm going to do is also come down to the burst itself, and I'm going to add a layer mask to it and do the same thing. Just see, that's almost too much. So I will Control or Command Z that. I'll lower the opacity down to, maybe 8, and just take out a little bit of that. And maybe a little of that color also. It's a little overpowering. There we go. Now what we're going to do is also try to emphasize the eyes and the lips. The eyes and the lips are the most important elements in a portrait to emphasize. Make that painting cursor very small, and now we just double click on those eyes. It's a very subtle difference, but it's a very real difference, and some in the lips to bring that color back in, maybe even a little bit in that part of the hair right there. There we go. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on that top layer with the color rays in it, Even the eyebrows I hit a little, and there we go. That is it. Let's take a look at before and after here. Okay, we're going to get rid of all of these. And that's where we begin. All right, so let's try another with our photograph and see what we can do with it. We added the burst, we added the color cast, it up a bit by adding some sunshine. And that's where we ended up. You'll notice here that looks this like model, which have been taken, actually shot indoors, has a natural area right here above her chin that only took us a few minutes, where light was already probably coming in. And we can, we're going to use that area. We're going to put this one aside for now and move on to our next example. All right. So just as we did before, we're going to go up to the File menu, come down to Place Embedded, and that takes us right to where we keep our overlays. And I'm going to use exactly the same burst because I want it for the same effect, which is that burst 06A. I click the word Place and modify its size just a bit, bring it up there, and we'll just leave it there for now. Double click. And go under normal, which is the current blending mode, and we're going to set it for what the file was named, which is hard light. Go down to hard light, click it, all the gray disappears. All right, now what we're going to do is place it where we really want it. We want to have some of that light spilling onto her shoulder, but also I think I want to get some underneath the flower into her hair and into her face. So Control or Command T on a Mac, and we go like that. Just moving that until we get it just where we want it. There seems to be pretty good. We have a little in the hair, some right over in here on that shoulder, a little more in the hair maybe, and some of it falling into her face. I'm going to tilt it a bit to get it even more into her face, like that. Bring it down a bit, and that is it. Double click it, and that's in position. We have blasted out a great deal of this area out here. And remember, as I showed you in my last sample, all you have to do is put a layer mask on that, and you can paint out using black, a very soft brush with an opacity set in the low 20s generally, or lower, and just paint out some of that just like that. And now the ear is back, the outline of the chin is back, and the neck is back, as is the flower. All right, and again, we have pretty much a flare that is overpowering the rest of the photograph in terms of its color. So we're going to want to add an overlay that gives a color cast that harmonizes more with the one we have. But in this case, instead of like what we did last time, in this case, we're going to want to maybe pick up some of this pink in her outfit, lips, and even the pink that's in her cheek. And so what we're going to do, again, we go to File, Place Embedded, and this time I'm going to pick this Color Cast 02A, which is a very soft, light pink. Again, you'll notice, as in the last photo, the light area here that you can see through is in the center. So it ends just below her eyes, and we want to make sure her eyes is in that area. So I'm going to pull that over there. That also extends it into where her hair is and a little bit up into the flower. This is the center of our actual photograph, which is to say her face, the area between her lips and her eyes, and that's the most important area, so we want to be able to show that. The way this layer is done, that area that you can see through is going to be lighter than the area that you can't see through. All right, so again, this layer now says that it should be used as a soft light, so we go up into our rendering layer mode, change it from normal to soft light, and we now have a color cast that has a pink and harmonizes with her outfit, but yet still kind of harmonizes also with the sunshine burst that we have coming over her shoulder. Let's take a look at it. That's before, that's after. So we've definitely lightened everything up. The other important thing of the color cast is that if you were in a real situation like this of a flare light, you would diminish all this contrast that's down here, and that's exactly what this is doing. It's diminishing all the contrast that is down here, lightening it all up, not only lightening it up, but smoothing it out to give you the type of flare you would normally get in a sun shooting into the sun situation, backlit situation. This is looking pretty good, except that I really, really want to emphasize just her face. I want it to be brighter than it is. So what I'm going to do is add a white vignette that will tone down all of this clothing down in here and centralize the most important area, which is her face. We go to File, down to Place Embedded, and this time we go to the bottom, and I'm picking out what's called the Vignette White. This is a white vignette that we're going to create around the whole image, as you can see right there. All right, so we'll just double click that. We'll change the mode to hard light, which is what is indicated in the file name. Down here, hard light. All right, looking pretty good, except that it's, again, centered right over here. I would rather move it that way to the right. So I do Control or Command T, and I drag it out to where I want it. That's all you have to do. See it? So now it's centralizing, localizing here. Remember, the center of the thing is right where this X is. Okay, so we're centralizing it right over here. If we wanted to centralize it anymore or add more, we could simply put a mask on it and deal with it that way. Right now, we're going to leave it as it is. I think it is a bit too bright on the left here and in the corners. So what I'm going to do is reduce its capacity just a bit down to maybe 90, a little bit below. And there we go. Now, again, remember, we want the eyes to pop because they're the most important part of a portrait photograph. We want those eyes to pop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the color cast. We're going to add a mask, get ourselves a very light brush. In this case, I'm going to tone it down probably even below 22, 10, and paint out some of that cast over the eyes. I'm not going to do it over the lips because they are pink already and they look good that way. On the vignette, I'm going to do just a little bit of the same thing, just like that. So those eyes and eyebrows too just pop a little bit more. Another area where I might want to bring in some detail is in that flower. So I'm going to come up there and click a little bit around that flower. And that will take some of that vignette off of the flower. I'm going to raise my opacity here from 10 back to in the low 20s. There we go. And just take some of that light out of there. All right. That's pretty much it. So let's take a look at the before and after. All right. That's before, which was a very dark photograph of the girl. Looks good, but it's not the effect I wanted. I wanted that very brightly lit effect, as if sunlight might have been pouring through a window behind her, and it would look more like that. All right, so that's it for this short demo, and I say short and emphasize short because using these these overlays is usually quicker than using actions. They're very simple to use. They're very simple to correct. They're easy to turn on and off just like that, and they're they've made my life a lot easier in Photoshop retouching, and I hope they help you out also. Thank you. Thanks for listening, and talk to you again soon. Bye.